Hey everyone, my name is Iasmina and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, today I'm in a bit of a different environment. I'm actually home for the holidays to Romania and I'm inside my old room and I don't know how many of you used to watch my videos back in the day, but this is where I used to film all of my videos. I'm going to show you all of the books that I have in my childhood bookshelf. There's not that many, so it's not going to be too long, and a lot of them are in Romanian and I'm not sure I can figure out the original title because I'm pretty sure most of them are translated from English to Romanian. Some are in English because I did start reading in English, I think, when I was about 14. I thought it would be interesting for me as well to just look back on the books that I used to read growing up and, you know, maybe try to see what kind of influences I had and how I got to reading what I read now. Kind of a bit of a backstory, I guess. I started reading when I was in primary school, I think you call it. So, you know, when I was about 7 or 8, just small books, and then I remember really not liking reading because most of it I had to do for school, and you know, when you're forced to read for school, it's never really fun, and I didn't used to be a child who read a lot, except for the stuff I read for school, but then I read the first Harry Potter book. I don't remember exactly why. You will see I still have my original Harry Potter sets. That's like my main, my most important piece in my childhood like bookshelf collection is my original Harry Potter books. I read the first Harry Potter book and I was hooked. So, you know, that's why Harry Potter means so much to me, and I know it's the same for a lot of people. It's because Harry Potter started my love for reading, and I'm really excited to go through my old Harry Potter books as well, and yeah, all the other books that I have on my shelves. So I hope this might be interesting to you, to go down memory lane with me, and yeah, without further ado, let's get into my childhood bookshelf. Okay, so first, here's an overview of my childhood bookshelf. It's these 3 sort of shelves and then the 3 smaller ones next to it, and that's like right above, you know, my bed area, so that's where I always had it. And then here to the right I had my desk. Sometimes my desk would actually be underneath the bookshelf, so I would move my desk and my bed around, but you know, these have always been like my shelves where I put the books that I personally bought and read as a child. So I think we're gonna go through it maybe starting from here. I apologize if some of this will be shaky. There's no way I can have like a tripod on right now, so I'm just filming handheld. I have some, oh, you can see my monitor here, and I have some like old CDs there. It's just like emo bands. But yeah, let's go through it this shelf by shelf. I'm not going to show you like each and every book, but I'm just going to show you, you know, sort of what I have. So what is this? I have no idea. The problem is, again, like I said, I don't know how many of these I can figure out what their title is in English, but I'm just going to try. Oh, well, this is easy. Okay, these 4 are easy because this is the first 4 books in the Chronicles of Narnia, as you can see. I think I should actually have the whole set. I'm not sure why. Do I not have the whole set? I thought I had the whole like Chronicles of Narnia set, but I guess not. I remember really liking this. I have a few in this series of this funny, like quirky little witch called Pongwify, I guess. I have this one as well. I don't remember much more. It's just that I remember it being like really funny. Obviously most of these are just, you know, short sort of chapter books, and then I have a lot of the Goosebumps books, so all of these are Goosebumps. I remember really liking these as a kid as well. Then I remember being obsessed, like my whole class was obsessed with the series The Witch. Which series does anyone remember that? Because I was obsessed. Like there was a cartoon show, right? And then they released some books. I had like a group of friends where each one of us were like one of the witches, and we like used to do role plays and shit. That was fun. I have Jeremy's 3 on 2 Bicycles. This is like an English classic. I can't remember the exact English title, but I remember it was funny. Then I have, oh, this was one of my absolute favorite series growing up. Do you guys remember this? This is the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series. I adored the series growing up, and I remember like watching the movies after I read the books, and oh, I used to love this series so much. Then I have a fantasy series here, a fantasy trilogy by E. Rose Sabin. I have no idea what these are in English. The series name translates to like witchcraft school, literally. So this was after I had read Harry Potter and obviously fell in love with like fantasy and like magic schools and stuff, and I saw this series and I remember it was really good, but I have no idea what these are in English or if they're even popular at all. Then I have, I guess this is Owl by Carl Hyacin. I also remember watching the movie of this, and I thought that movie was pretty good as well. This is Slam by Nick Horby. That's easy to translate. It's literally the same. This was more YA. Well, this is literally YA, but at the time, I think YA wasn't really like an established genre. So this was more sort of YA contemporary. And then actually all of these ones here where you see they have this little like fruit logo, these are all like basically chiclet, like random chiclets that honestly I have no clue like what their English titles are, or if there's anything in here that I've heard of. David Nichols? I've maybe heard of David Nichols. I have no idea. I just remember these sort of chiclet books being like really popular, but honestly I don't know any of them. If there's anything in here that's another David Nichols. I just remember they are really popular, and I actually remember one of my classmates being caught during class reading the book, one of the books that I lent her. So I think maybe it was one of these two, because I remember it was purple. So I think it was, oh, this one. Yes, it was this one. I remember I lent her this book and she was reading it in class and like under the table, and she got caught. I didn't like move stuff around, so this is like how I left it, but it's not like in great order because these are not all of the Dan Brown books that I have. I have more on the shelf above it. Okay, so I have Dan Brown here. This is The Lost Symbol, I guess. And these are in English. So these are the ones where I started reading in English. So this is Deception Point, Angels and Demons, and then I have some Michael Crichton. Is that how you say it? Eaters of the Dead. And next, I remember this one. I remember really liking this one. So these are sort of like thriller books. And I really liked Dan Brown growing up, and honestly, I'm still like undecided about Dan Brown. The latest one I read, I really did not like, but I remember liking the other one, so I don't know. Let's move on to the shelf right above this. Kathy's Journal by I don't know who. I remember, yeah, this was like a mixed media sort of thing. Sort of journal. I don't really remember. Bookends by Jane Green. I remember the story of this is that I really wanted to read John Green, and back then when I was a kid, like English books, the English book section in like the local bookstore was like this shelf, you know, like it was this sort of, it was a really tiny shelf with only a couple of books, and I remember like going through and seeing like Green, and I thought, oh, that's John Green. No, it was Jane Green, but I still picked it up and I think it was okay. Then I have some Tom Holt, The Portable Door. I remember this being really strange and quirky, but kind of fun. Then I have Yes Man by Danny Wallace. I have a lot of feelings about this book because I think I read it at a time where I think I needed something like this. Reading this made me, well, you know, as cliche as it sounds, say yes to more things, and coincidentally, because of this book, I kind of met my now husband. Because if I hadn't read this book and I hadn't said yes to going to a certain event, I would not have met him. And I remember specifically not wanting to go and saying that I'm not gonna go, but then remembering this book and like remembering that I made a kind of pact to myself to say yes to more things. And yeah, that's how that happened. This is 13 Little Blue Envelopes by Maureen Johnson. I remember this was also a lot of fun. This is, you know, YA contemporary, really nice. Have a Japanese book, or Japanese dictionary, I guess. I was really into learning Japanese at some point. This is The World as I See It by Albert Einstein. I also had a phase where I read some science books. Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. I also had a phase where I read a lot of Chuck Palahniuk books, specifically because a member of the band I was obsessed about, Panic at the Disco, so the band member was Ryan Ross. He really liked Chuck Palahniuk, and I wanted to read stuff that he liked because I was an obsessed teenager. And I remember it just went over my head completely. Yep. This is The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. This is the original copy that I read. As you guys know, I read it recently in English, and I had mixed feelings, but when I read it as a child, or as a teenager, I remember liking it more, but like I said, that's probably because I was an annoying teenager myself. And these are more Chuck Palahniuk books. This is Journal. This is Choke, I think, is the English title. And I have 2 more Michael Crichton books, which honestly I'm just gonna move over here because this should be with the other Michael Crichton books. This is a really old, battered copy that I actually like stole from my parents' bookshelf because they had this. I mean, this is self-explanatory. This is Jurassic Park, and then this is the second book, The Lost World. So yeah, I also really like these. I love Jurassic Park and dinosaurs. Okay, now this top shelf is gonna be very difficult to film because it's over my head. But okay, so this is Da Vinci's Code. This is Da Vinci's Code. This is the original, the first Dan Brown book I read. My parents actually bought it, and then I read it after they finished it. Then I have more Chuck Palahniuk. This is Haunted. This is I have no idea how to translate that. Crash by someone. This is Digital Fortress, again by Dan Brown. Okay, I just moved them down because I literally could not reach over there. But these are my original, or my first Twilight books that I read. This is Twilight in Romanian, and this is New Moon sequel. So yeah, these are how I read Twilight, and I never finished New Moon. Just FYI, I wasn't the biggest fan of Twilight as a teenager, but that's that. Okay, let's quickly go through this top shelf and then we'll move on to the best shelf. This is Earthquake in Time or something by Vonnegut. Oh, why are they upside down? This is Fang, I think, is the original title, by Jack London. Oh, this is 3 Men in a Boat by Jeremy K. Jeremy. This one I actually have in English. What else do I have here? Why are they all upside down? Oh, I have some Paulo Coelho. I don't remember reading that, but okay. Oh, I remember this was like a non-fiction about some quirky inventions. The Way We Were by Elizabeth Noble. I think this was also maybe Chick Lit or something like that. Oh, some Sophie Kinsella. Yeah, I remember reading Sophie Kinsella as well. Yeah. Okay, and then quickly over here I just have some, like, mostly books about animals and some other, like, non-fiction stuff, like encyclopedias. I remember really loving these encyclopedias. And, oh, these are my WoW books. These are my, like, World of Warcraft game books, game guides. But now let's move on to my favorite shelf in my childhood bookshelf, which is my Harry Potter collection and a couple of other things, Lord of the Rings. And of course the light just went down as I decided to film this last shelf. So here I have The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, Two Towers and The Return of the King. Yeah, so these are the original covers of how I read Lord of the Rings. Then I have a duology here. I don't remember what this was. From P.B. Kirker. I have no idea. This was like, you know, sort of more mythology-based fantasy series, but I thought it was cool. Then I have a couple of sort of weird Harry Potter-related books. This is like a book, I thought it was funny because the author is John Granger, but this is like, you know, it's like the secret key of Harry Potter, so it like goes over, it's like an explanation of the series and like some of the plot points and stuff. I don't know. I just would pick up anything related to Harry Potter that I saw. And then this is like a parody book. It's like Harry Potter and the Annoying Face of Magic, I guess you would translate that as. This was a weird book. Yeah, and then the rest of the shelf is all the Harry Potter series in Romanian and in English. So yeah, these are all the Romanian books. So these are the original books that I read, and then starting from the 6th one, I read them in English first, but I also bought the Romanian versions just so I can have like a full set. But let me just show you. So I remember the first I bought were the first 2. So the first 2 had already come out. I think the first 3 had already come out maybe when I started reading them. But I remember picking these 2 up at once. That one's a bit, yeah, that one's a bit damaged. This is my favorite Harry Potter book in Romanian. My parents figured out I really liked Harry Potter, so they bought me. But this I definitely remember because I stayed up. So I stayed up for the 6th and the 7th book. I was the first in line at the bookstore that was next to us at the midnight release for both the 6th and the 7th book. And then these are the English editions. I just realized I am missing the second one. Yeah, I remember I don't have the second one in this edition. I must have not found that one, or I don't know. But yeah, these are the original English first editions of Harry Potter. Order of the Phoenix, and yeah, these 2 are the ones I stayed up. So the 6th and the 7th, I stayed up at the midnight release to get them, and I read this overnight. So yeah, some nice memories with these. So yeah, there you have it, guys. That is my childhood bookshelf tour and all of the books that pretty much, I guess, formed me and got me into reading. I'm really sorry for like the shakiness and, you know, obviously the lack of lighting. I just took my camera with me on holiday, and yeah, it was actually really fun for me because I had forgotten most of these books. And sort of, you know, where I was when I read them and things like that. So it was also a lot of fun for me to look back and remember stuff. So yeah, that's it for me today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know, like, what were some of the books you read as a child? Like, what was your favorite book or your favorite series growing up? And maybe if you even remember, like, what was the first book that you read that really got you into reading? Was it also Harry Potter, or was it like Narnia or Lord of the Rings or something else? I know a lot of people sort of go with that, or maybe even Twilight. Honestly, a lot of people started with Twilight, and, you know, no shade, no shame, like, that's amazing. If any book got you into reading, that's absolutely incredible, and that book deserves all the praise for that. But yeah, please remember to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it, and otherwise I will see you next time with a new video. Bye!